All right, welcome to day one. This is the beginning of a wonderful journey that we're going to have together to learn about effective, constructive coping skills, coping strategies that we're going to learn together. All right, this is the first one that is going to be like a negative coping skill, or the only one that's going to be negative. I'm not going to tell you to stop doing anything else except for this thing, and this is to turn off your devices. I know that sounds really extreme, but there are a lot of negative consequences to us spending so much time on our phones and our devices so much that we are actually becoming attached to them and addicted to them. And so we turn to them because they are a passive coping strategy, actually. You know, we pick up our phone when we're uncomfortable, when we feel awkward, or when we feel bored, or whenever. We just, sometimes it's just an instinct, like a reflex, that we pick up our phones and start looking at them. And this is another thing, like I was saying, about being intentional, is that if we are just constantly reacting or picking up our phones just because of a reflex, then we aren't being intentional, we aren't being conscious of the choices that we're making and the coping strategies that we're actually using when we're dealing with stressful or uncomfortable situations. And our phones are taking us away from the present. They are taking us away from dealing with the conflict, but it doesn't make the conflict go away. And it's creating more problems along the line. And I think everybody has heard about all of these problems. We all know how there's cyberbullying. We all know that we envy people that we see online on social media. These are actual problems that are creating more problems than what they're solving. Yeah, we distract ourselves and we escape by picking up our phones and looking at social media or playing games, but they're creating more problems. And so some of the problems are that, like I said, we're more insecure, we are more distracted, people are more cruel because they're spending so much time online. We are experiencing major fatigue and mental fatigue and stress because of the amount of time that we're spending on our phones. That we're just constantly scrolling, and not accomplishing anything really intelligent, and then we're just mentally tired because we're spending so much time looking at our devices. We're also suppressing our real emotions. Again, looking at our devices is an escape strategy, and so we're not actually feeling what we're experiencing. And that can be a problem too, because then we don't know how to confront and address what we're actually feeling. And that's, again, I want to talk about coping strategies that are constructive, coping strategies that bring you to confront what's going on so that we can change that behavior. Another thing is that it's creating peer pressure, okay, and perpetuating a culture of consumerism, you know, and or you know, just other cultures that are not constructive, because we see people doing things or living a certain way and we think that is what's expected, and so we feel pressure to live a certain way. Another thing, what I was going to say about the fatigue and the stress that we're experiencing, you know, for a long time, and I still do this, I confess, is that I'll get up and I'll look at my phone and I scroll through social media. I'm not doing anything productive, and that makes us more reactive. I feel so reactive throughout the day, and it's even more impulsive to pick up my phone and want to look at it more and more and more. And I feel like I'm giving myself a lobotomy every morning, because I feel like there's a fog and a cloud and I'm not myself, because I set myself up first thing in the morning to be super reactive. And Mel Robbins has a whole shtick that she talks about with this. And put away your device. Don't have it near your bed at night so that you do not look at it. Because these things, they have psychological and neurological and physical effects on our bodies. So that is day number 1. I challenge you to put down your phones, take a whole day and not look at social media. People in my faith have actually been challenged to not look at social media for an entire week, if you can even fathom that. And people's lives are changing because they aren't becoming so consumed by what is going on in the cyber world. If you're subscribed to my email list in this challenge, I will go into more details about the triggers why we pick up our phones, what we can do instead, and how we can get a reward from that alternate behavior, because it's a habit that we've acquired to pick up our devices. It's just a habit. But habits can be changed. All you need to know is what the trigger behavior is, what different behavior you can do in order to get the reward. So that's what I explored in my emails. Okay, so I go in the email, I talk about how we have 2 different parts of our brains, right? We have our thinking part, our logical part of our brain, and we have our subconscious or emotional part of our brains. And our habits are really stem from our subconscious and our emotional side of our brains. And our logical side of our brains is becoming weaker and weaker. And so we aren't thinking about what we're doing. So throughout the course of this 30-day challenge, I will be laying out more strategies to help us strengthen that conscious side of our brains, our logical side of our brains, so that we can be more constructive in our coping strategies. Thanks again for following along. Be sure to share this with your friends. Send them to homeandfamilyculture.com/cope to catch all the videos in the 30-day challenge. And then head over to Instagram and find me at Family Culture Podcast. Tag me in your stories and tell me about how this series is making an impact on you. Tell me how this particular coping strategy is impacting you, and tag me and use the hashtag Family Coping Skills. Thank you so much for following along. You can also email me if you have questions or insights or anything you want to share at jody@homeandfamilyculture.com. Thank you so much.